Get ready for an incredible journey. We'll explore dust-covered old garages and gloomy barns in search of true gems on wheels, rare and incredibly expensive vehicles that, surprisingly, were simply left behind. Who would do such a thing? It's surreal to think that, while so many people dream of one of these cars, it sits here, forgotten. It's heartbreaking, as if they were mere worthless objects. So come with us to discover the 20 luxury cars abandoned by their billionaire owners. 20. Bugatti Veyron in Moscow. We start today's video with a Bugatti Veyron. It's not the kind of car you just leave lying around. This model would cost somewhere around 1 million, so you'd think someone would take really good care of it, right? Well, but this car was imported into Russia in 2013 and apparently was never registered or even insured. It was placed in an underground garage. Initially, it was covered with protective siding, but after a while, it was stolen. And the car got dustier and dustier. People started scrawling names and drawings in the dust. And it just sat there for many, many years. Between 2016 and 2019, this sports car remained in exactly the same location. And according to some stories, the owner was never able to retrieve it or drive it because he ended up in jail. Well, the Bugatti Veyron 16.4 is a super sports car produced by Bugatti Automobiles between 2005 and 2015. The car is pure performance. It has an 8-liter quad-turbo W16 engine, generating over 1,000 horsepower. This incredible power allows the vehicle to accelerate from 0 to 100 km/h in approximately 2.5 seconds. The top speed? 407 km/h. Super useful on the streets, for sure. 450 units of this model were produced, in various configurations, making it a favorite toy of the rich and famous. Even Cristiano Ronaldo has one, valued at several million. That says it all, doesn't it? Now, onto the special topic. Here we have an image that appears to show a car that survived an apocalypse and has been hidden in a garage in the middle of the woods ever since. While AI got the idea from the photo, it's not exactly an epic find. We have plenty of real-life examples in today's video. Uday Hussein's Ferrari F40. Uday Hussein, Saddam Hussein's eldest son, was a sadistic, violent killer with a passion for torture, rape, and war crimes. Oh, and fast cars. It's said he stole around 200 luxury vehicles during his lifetime. Sounds like a lovable guy, doesn't he? Well, Uday met his end in 2003, but the whereabouts of his famous Ferrari F40 remained a mystery until 2016. Many people tried to track it down. Images of the supercar circulated online. Some showed the Ferrari in a warehouse, others outside, and all showed the vehicle in terrible condition. Covered in sand, with yellowed and faded parts inside and out. The scorching Iraqi sun and sandstorms had destroyed the car. Car restoration enthusiasts around the world wanted to find it. And when that information hits the internet, everything comes up, including some pretty strange ideas on how to locate it. After filtering through the rumors, a strong lead emerged in northern Iraq. A British car enthusiast pursued it. Sure, it would cost a fortune to restore this Ferrari, but at least it could be salvaged. The same can't be said of the previous owner, who was rotten to the core. 18. Ferrari Enzo and supercars in Dubai. Where there's money, there are luxury cars, and Dubai has both in abundance. But after the 2009 financial crisis, there was a mass exodus of millionaires, fleeing the fear of debt prison. Yes, that still exists in the UAE. The economy plummeted, and many illegal schemes came to light. These wealthy individuals had fleets of supercars, which were simply abandoned in droves. Many were left abandoned at the airport. The Dubai government seized the vehicles and began auctioning them off to recover some of the debts. Among them, one car generated enormous curiosity, a Ferrari Enzo, valued at up to 1.8 million. But how deep in debt do you have to be to let go of $1.5 million car? The car disappeared from auction listings because it was seized as evidence in a criminal case. In other words, even if you're a tycoon showing off in a shiny red sports car, some rules still apply to you. 17. Austin Healey Sprite. This cute little car was quite sad when it was found, rusted and abandoned. But after a good wash, a new red paint job, and gleaming chrome, it's regained some of its former joy. The Austin Healey Sprite became famous for its nickname Frog Eyes in the UK and Bug Eyes in the US, due to the distinctive shape of its headlights. This classic British sports car was produced between 1958 and 1971. Designed to be affordable and lightweight, it won over enthusiasts with its driving pleasure and charm. After 31 years of neglect, all it needed was a good polish to give it a new lease on life. A scrapyard gave the car to the video's creators for restoration, and they succeeded. Million-dollar car collection. In the Hollywood Hills, money is no object. Luxurious homes, even more luxurious cars. But even those who live at the top can quickly go downhill. A Ferrari F430 Spider, a Dodge Charger, and a Lamborghini Aventador Roadster were found. Together, they are worth around $1 million. After investigating, they discovered the Lambo had a curious history. It was reported stolen in New York before it was even insured. Police didn't get involved, but they offered a $100,000 reward. The car was recovered and has since gathered dust in California. Strangely enough, being stationary isn't exactly the same as being abandoned. Maybe it's just the absurd fuel consumption. 15. Abandoned Porsche in China. We're at an old dealership in southeastern China. Or at least it was a dealership. Now it's falling apart and long since closed. The curious thing is that there are still cars inside. And what most attracts attention among automotive relic hunters is a brand new Porsche Carrera GT. Parked in the middle of the showroom and visible from the street through the huge windows. No one knows why it stayed there. The car is extremely rare and highly sought after, worth around $1 million. But perhaps the store has become a storage facility, or the Porsche is someone's retirement property. In some countries, value is relative, depending on priorities and available funds. 14. Luxury cars in the forest. Here we have a group of curious people who were walking through the woods and found an abandoned house. The house itself is the most striking feature of this discovery, and although it appears to have been uninhabited for quite some time, there are still pieces of furniture, including an antique piano, scattered throughout the room. This, of course, makes it all the more interesting for social media posts about an old and spooky abandoned house. But anyway, they take us on a tour of the rooms. Some have only a few pieces of furniture, while others are completely destroyed. A sad monument to the lives that once existed there. I have no idea who lived in this house, or what happened to make them leave it this way. But it's exactly the kind of place that fascinates many people online. Then the explorer takes us outside, where we discover that there are also some seemingly forgotten cars. They snoop around the garage and find a Cadillac and a Mercedes, next to a lawnmower. The cars are pretty beat up, but they're there, and that certainly makes it all the more exciting for those who enjoy this kind of discovery. 13. Abandoned Audi R8. Now we're rummaging through someone's garage to see a supposedly abandoned Audi R8. But in reality, the car is stored in a garage, still belongs to someone, and they simply chose to leave it there for you. What's the definition of abandoned? This car is a dream for many people, so finding it in this condition, unused and uncared for, led these rare car hunters to clean it up and make it shine again. While they're in the process, the owner shows up and explains that the house belonged to him and his family. When they moved in, the new owners allowed them to continue using the garage to store the car. But over time, life happened, and they never touched it again. It was then that the car began to have problems. Rats gnawed through the air hoses, ruined the suspension, and the battery died completely. The restorers took the car to the workshop and gave it a thorough makeover, completely transforming it from its original state. The Audi R8 is a supercar packed with advanced features. The first generation, called the Type 42i, was available with either a V8 or V10 engine. In 2015, Audi launched the second generation Type 4S, featuring an updated look and a naturally aspirated 5.2-liter V10 engine. But production of the R8 ended in 2024. Now, there are plans to launch a plug-in hybrid supercar based on it, because, of course, there has to be, right? Another eco-friendly model. But not really. 12. Abandoned Ferrari 512 BB. Here's another find for you. A Ferrari 512 BB. In perfect condition, this model can fetch around $270,000. But this one was far from that. This car is a mid-1970s Ferrari and was the brand's first mid-engine street car. The BB stands for Berlinetta Boxer, a reference to the body style and engine layout. This particular example was a 1980 model with less than 20,000 miles on the clock when it was parked in 1996 and never moved. Ferrari didn't make many of these cars, and if you find one in blue, you found a rarity, as only 6 were produced in that color. But regardless of the color, anyone is a collector's item. This car was lovingly restored. They removed rat nests, cleaned mold and feces from the interior, and polished the bodywork until it shined. The only thing they didn't fix was the engine. At least not yet. But it's in the plans for the future. 11. Supercars reportedly abandoned in Beverly Hills. It seems some YouTubers make a living making videos about abandoned cars. But most of the time, these cars aren't actually abandoned. They're just parked. Anyone who owns a supercar or hypercar rarely owns just one. They probably own several others, and driving a high-performance vehicle in the city is neither practical nor comfortable, and certainly not economical. Getting stuck in Los Angeles traffic in a supercar? Ridiculous. So these cars are only used for specific outings, for fun. There's another reason so many expensive cars sit idle in certain garages. They belong to dealerships that need to store their extra vehicles in safe, weather-protected locations. In other words, no, they're not abandoned. They're simply stored, like any car would be. 10. Shelby Cobra and Ferrari 275 GTB2. Since 1991, this gem has sat in a garage, gathering dust and cobwebs. A family of rats probably took up residence under the hood, along with several spiders. The story behind it? A 1967 Shelby Cobra 427 and a Ferrari 275 GTB belonged to a collector who had a trusted mechanic who had been responsible for maintaining the cars for decades. When that mechanic passed away, the owner simply stopped letting anyone else touch them. Leaving cars to rot doesn't seem like a good idea, but to each their own. When the garage doors were opened, the discovery left experts speechless. Together, the two classics were valued at around $4 million, even covered in dust and rat droppings. The Ferrari 275 GTB2, manufactured between 1964 and 1966, is considered one of the most beautiful cars of the golden age of sports cars. With a 3.3-liter V12 engine, it was once described as the most satisfying sports car in the world. Even after decades, its elegant lines remain intact. It will surely be restored soon and shine again. 9. Lamborghini Countach. Now let's go to Connecticut, where a Lamborghini Countach 5000S has been sitting in a garage since 2002. It was taken out by some restorers for a nice cleaning. The interior was disgusting. Rats had peed and pooped everywhere, and even grass was growing inside. Besides a thorough scrubbing, the paintwork was damaged by UV exposure, so it needed to be fixed with a detailed polishing job. The restorers used special products and advanced techniques to restore its original shine. The result? The car went from a deplorable state to a gleaming classic, red, flashy, and ready to be the star of a midlife crisis. 8. Found DKW. Next up, an unusual find, a 1939 DKW F8, found in Sweden. These cars were part of the F1 to F8 line, produced between 1931 and 1942, with a transversely mounted DA 2-stroke twin-cylinder engine. About 50,000 units were manufactured before the war's interruption. Although the brand was best known for its motorcycles, it was also the first European company to mass-produce front-wheel drive cars. This pre-World War II model had been stored for decades, virtually forgotten. It was taken out of storage, washed, and regained some of its dignity, even though it never returned to the road. 7. Muscle British car with V8. Although cars are most associated with the United States, there were some rarities outside the country. This is a Bristol 408, manufactured in the early 1960s, found in poor condition. 85 examples were produced, and it's believed that only 10 survive. The car has a 5.1-liter Chrysler V8 engine and a push-button automatic transmission. It retained its 1990s paint and original upholstery. It sat in a garage for decades until enthusiasts tried to get it running. 6. Volvo in the forest. Finally, a Swedish classic. The Volvo Amazon, found abandoned in the middle of the vegetation. It's not a supercar, but it was a popular choice for families, especially during its production run from 1956 to 1970. These cars were introduced in the United States in 1959, and, as is always the case with Volvo, were focused on safety. Remember the motto? They're boxy, but they're good. These models were the first cars to offer front seatbelts as standard equipment. Later, they also pioneered the adoption of three-point seatbelts. Here we have one of these Volvos, apparently found in a forest in Sweden, and practically miraculously brought back to life. It's truly impressive. 5. Abandoned dealership in China. This is the same dealership we saw earlier when we talked about the abandoned Porsche. People who spend their days searching for forgotten cars always seem to end up finding the same ones to feature in their YouTube video. But anyway, besides that Porsche, if you care, there were also other very expensive vehicles gathering dust in the same location. According to reports, a Ferrari and a Chevrolet were found, both with flat tires and covered in dust. The Ferrari was a 575mm Super America, 2005-2006, equipped with a 533 horsepower V12 engine and valued between $282,000 and $748,000. Not bad, right? The other car was a 2001-2004 Chevrolet Corvette C5, valued at a modest $30,000, blasé. But what can you do? Trespassing on private property to moan about a car's dust and post it on YouTube probably won't accomplish much. These vehicles look like they've been sitting idle for years. The problem is that selling such expensive cars requires a very specific buyer, with deep pockets and, likely, an outsized ego. And when these cars aren't in good condition or new, they can end up being worth little more than the dust covering them. 4. Lamborghini Espada in a barn. Some people just like to keep their cars in barns. That doesn't necessarily mean a barn find is all that surprising. Maybe they know exactly where the car is, maybe they've never forgotten about it. And going around messing with other people's barns might not be a good idea. The Lamborghini Espada is a great four-seater tourer, produced by the Italian brand between 1968 and 1978. The name Espada means sword in Spanish, like the one used by bullfighters in the cruel practice of bullfighting. Does the car look like a sword? Not exactly. It had an elongated fastback design, inspired by the Lamborghini prototype Marzal, 1967, and the Jaguar Piranha concept. With a low profile, large glass surfaces, and a distinctive trunk, it had a futuristic feel. The engine was a 3.9-liter V12, with power between 325 and 350 horsepower. About 1,200 units were produced, becoming one of the brand's best-selling models at the time, yet still reserved for those with a lot of money. 3. Sports in the Fukushima exclusion zone. The Lamborghini. The Countach was manufactured between 1974 and 1990 and, for a time, was the ultimate status symbol among Generation X yuppies. They simply couldn't resist the car's bold design and speed. In addition to the original versions, many replicas also emerged. Over time, both genuine models and copies were eventually abandoned. After all, maintaining a supercar isn't cheap. An original Countach can cost up to $500,000, but there's a good chance the one found is a replica. Either way, it's a beautiful car. This particular Countach was apparently seen abandoned in Japan. There's speculation that the car is in the area near the 2011 Fukushima nuclear disaster, which would explain its abandonment. Radiation risk. Life is complicated, and you can't always parade around in a Lambo, right? 2. Lamborghini Miura in a barn. Another car, another treasure. This one was part of Henry Ruggieri's collection, which included vehicles in various states of repair. When this example was auctioned in 2019, it fetched an incredible price. $493,000, about $600,000. Impressive, huh? I hope they at least gave it a quick wash before the auction. 1. Another Lamborghini Miura. It seems that friendships between millionaires are a little different from ours. This Lambo was a gift from shipping magnate Aristotle Onassis to his friend, pop singer and rally driver Stamatis Kokotas in the 1970s. Nice gift, huh? The car was a Lamborghini. 1969 Miura P400S, metallic brown with beige leather interior. Very 70s when brown was all the rage. This model was the epitome of jet-set elegance at the time, with striking Italian design and a powerful 3.9-liter V12 engine. Frank Sinatra himself owned one, which says a lot about the vehicle's status. But how did such a gem end up forgotten for 30 years in an underground parking lot? By 1972, the car had clocked about 80,000 kilometers and was suffering from serious engine problems. The engine was sent to Lamborghini for repairs. while the car itself was stored at the Hilton Hotel in Athens, waiting. But it was simply forgotten. Like many expensive toys, it lost its appeal and was left behind. The Miura remained there until 2003, when the hotel underwent renovations, and only reappeared in 2012, when it was put up for auction. And so we conclude our tour of the world of dark garages and dusty barns. Which of these abandoned cars would you like to restore? Let us know in the comments.